Hello everyone. The glitches topic will be divided into three parts. In them we will analyze what glitches are, their types, and techniques of creating them. We will also take a look at examples and carry out work on errors. What is a glitch? A glitch is a distorted image in motion design. Most commonly it initiates VHS, TV distortions, computer bugs, etc. Glitches are characterized by rapid changes in the location of objects, their shape, color inversion, strobe light, repetition of elements, chromatic aberration, digital noise, various artifacts, and other additional elements in the form of HUD or other particles. Apart from such familiar glitches that distort videos or photos, one can encounter stylized flat glitches, textured glitches, and others. All this applies to various videos and logos as well. Constant experiments in creating glitches are a common practice. Mixing different techniques and styles is a common thing. Each time you try to add some new features. But there should be logic in all of this, a certain dynamics and style. A glitch is not just a bunch of random distortions and effects when it comes to logos. There must be a certain rhythm and dynamics in the reveal. Many glitch effects, animated parts of logo, or distortions may appear at the beginning of an animation. Then the frequency of their reveal slows down and fades. The dynamics of a logo depends on the frequency, quantity, and intensity of effects. To achieve a cool result, you need the control over all adjustable parameters. Apart from dynamics, the same applies to composition. We cannot distribute logo elements or artifacts in the frame randomly. They should direct the viewer's attention to a logo or just look naturally in a composition. We will analyze it in more detail further on. Since styles are often combined, we have divided glitches into three major categories, according to the way they are revealed or disappear. The reveal via parts of a logo, the reveal via elements, and the reveal via effects. A project is attached to the lesson, with logos in it. You can animate them similarly to the examples in the lesson to improve your skills in practice. Let's go back to the glitch types. The reveal via parts of a logo is a technique that implies the use of logo parts to create a glitch. Let's analyze the following examples. Changes mainly happen in basic transform parameters. An animation like this looks quite simple. This is a good solution when you need to create a strict animation without effects and elements overload. In this example, the main reveal technique is the change in the object's transparency. Besides, the logo letters are replaced with other symbols. This adds some technological flavor. The main thing is to make all changes happen rapidly. Otherwise, the animation may not look like a glitch. Easings are optional. It's best to do everything on toggle hold keyframes. In the second example, you can see the same technique with flashing letters. Let's create the basis of this animation. Let's animate opacity for the reveal. Create animation keyframes from 0 to 100 and put them on each frame. About 8 to 10 frames of such flashes will be enough. Next, switch the keyframes into toggle hold. Flashes are too frequent. Let's stretch them to make them appear more rarely. The last animation keyframe stands on the 7th frame. So stretch the keyframes to the 14th frame. The change in opacity remains rapid due to toggle hold. Let's adjust the keyframes more randomly to make the animation more diverse. You may not necessarily follow my example. You can distribute the keyframes randomly up to the 20th frame. Great. Now let's make them appear one by one. And the animation base is ready. Select the layers and click Sequence in the Motion Tools script. Let's see the result. Good. Let's take a look at the next example. Transformations and distortions are additionally used in this logo. Opacity alone may not be enough for the glitch effect. Distortions can be created by cutting the letters into several parts with a mask and their animation by position or scale further on. Create a mask on the letter M. Duplicate the layer and move the mask. Let's animate position of the duplicate and the original mask layer. Apply toggle hold. Adjust the keyframes. Add offsets, and make the animation a little slower. Let's do the same for the letter N. Let's make a more diverse animation by scattering the keyframes a bit. This way you can create simple distortions of objects. Let's continue. This example is a bit more complicated. It is more overloaded with elements. Some letters appear through flashing, some are stretched. This kind of stretching can be created by animating path or with the Minimax effect. Another quite interesting example. The main technique that makes glitch out of this animation is rapid transformations of the position, size, and shape of the objects. In the first frames, we can see how part of the logo is in the center of the composition. It is enlarged. After some time, it shifts, changes its size, and so on. The previous positions of the logo parts are marked in red. As you can see, the actions take place in the central part of the composition. This makes the viewer stay focused. This applies to the entire logo. Logo elements also change their positions. The letters change their thickness, shape, and position. The desired glitch effect appears due to this contrast. The remaining issue is how to quickly create the right dynamics with so many elements. There is a very simple solution for this logo. Here's the plan on how we're going to create basic animation. First, we will analyze the entire logo and set the keyframes. Next, we will animate the elements of the logo, the skeleton, separately. After that, we will get to revealing the letters. Finally, we will add textures. Let's get started. Open the composition with this logo. Select all the layers. Parent them to the null object. Now let's create the general dynamics. Switch the keyframes into toggle hold, of course. Let's animate position and scale, create keyframes for the final position of the logo, and move them a little farther on the timeline. At the beginning of the animation, the logo will be enlarged, and the head will be in the center of the composition. It will appear first. Next, move and change scale. It is important not to move it too far. Do not overdo it with scale as well. Let's create movements similar to those from the original logo. When working with the movements, be guided by your taste. Just don't move them too far from the center. Let's move the keyframes closer to the beginning of the timeline and move the layers forward a few frames so that the logo is not in the composition in the beginning. The timing of the animation is currently too long. Let's speed it up. Move the keyframes closer to each other. Let's see the result. We have set the keyframes. Now let's distribute the keyframes more randomly to avoid position and scale being displayed simultaneously. This will make the animation more diverse and similar to the original. Now that we've adjusted the general dynamics, we can move on. Let's create the reveal of other logo parts. They will appear randomly one after another. When the main animation is over, all the elements must be in the final position. Let's reveal the skeleton. I will paint the layers with the letters in orange for convenience. Let's animate skeleton elements by animating position and scale. In addition to position and scale, we will animate the fish tail by animating rotation as well. Let's make it look like the fish is flapping its tail. Let's reveal the letters randomly. Great. So we've created the bases. Next, we need to work on details, like the letters reveal, additional elements, and texture animation. In the original animation, the outline of the logo trembles. You can achieve a similar frame-by-frame style by adding the turbulent displace effect with posterized time to make the movements sharper. Create adjustment layer and add the turbulent displace effect. Let's adjust the size of distortions. Now animate the evolution parameter with the following expression. In the posterized time expression, the frame rate should change from 5 to 10. These are the most optimal values to simulate the frame-by-frame effect. For this animation, I have set it to 8. Time times 800. The numbers in this expression range from 500 to 1000. These are also the most optimal values. Let's add the expression. Ideally, you should add turbulence displace to each element separately with different settings for a more diverse animation of the outline. But this solution will do for the example. Let's look at the result. Excellent. Now let's get to the textures. There is such a texture made of dots, and a texture made of lines in the original animation. All this can be done in After Effects. Let's start with the first one. Duplicate the layer to which you want to apply the texture. It will be a mask with which we will cut the texture further. Let's create a circle and multiply it with repeater. Add repeater. Place copies along the x-axis. Add another repeater. Put copies along the y-axis. Fine. Now let's rotate it by 45 degrees. The texture is ready. Place it over the previously created duplicate and parent the texture to it. Apply Alpha Matte. Now let's animate the duplicate, increase its size, and move it a little. The procedure for all other elements is the same. Let's create the line texture for the main part of the spine. Create a line, add repeater, and multiply the line. Now add turbulent displace to distort the lines a little. Parent it to the desired layers and apply via Alpha Matte. Move the texture layer a bit to make it visible. Trim the extra part. Done. Here's the animation we've got. We've worked on the dynamics and the logo reveal. The dynamics look good, but the animation still needs to be improved. Do it yourself. You need to animate the letters and add textures. I will show how to make the letter reveal using the letter A as an example. Add it to the pre-compose and create layers in a different style. First, let it be thin, then thicker. Let's reveal them one by one. You can add a random shape if you want. Now animate it with position and scale, as we have done with other parts of the logo earlier. Reveal the rest of the letters in the same way. As for textures, note that some parts of the original logo are revealed with brush. The disappearance is also made with its use. The entire logo disappears. Such reveals and disappearances can be created with footages. Add the animated footage with brush to the composition. Adjust its size and position. Apply it to the layer via Alpha Mate. Excellent. Your homework will be to animate logos in a similar style. The next part of the lesson will be about the reveal of a logo via elements. We will learn how to create such an animation.